Well, hello, Dr. Rump.
Hi, how are we doing today?
Great. How are you doing today?
Great.
We have quite a few attendees that are online now, so I'm going to go ahead and get started if that's okay with you.
Let's get it done.
First, I would like to introduce Mr. Dr. Tony Rump. He is an energetic and enthusiastic advocate and of the power of natural healing and benefits of chiropractic quantum neurology, hoping that you can explain what quantum neurology is a little bit today, nutrition and exercise. And while it's often, a myth that chiropractors only treat back and neck pain, it's really only a small piece of what your practice is really all about. And that's why we wanted to talk to you today, because you're not just a chiropractor, you are a functional wellness practitioner. And with that being said, thank you for joining us today. I know you have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off. And for our attendees, you are more than welcome to use the chat box. I will be facilitating the chat box, Dr. Rump, and then we'll open up for Q&A at the end of your presentation today, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's start. We all know there's a pandemic going on. We all know that we all know people that really are in a high risk group, and we know people that have really had the tough time with all the rules, everything of what we're trying to accommodate, and how our world has changed. It's a stay-at-home world virtually, and it's kind of tough. So today I want to talk about, we have this bug, this virus, and we can't change that, and we'll all become exposed sooner or later. And I really want the vaccine to work. That would be the best way out of this. But we also realize that there's a flu vaccine, and on best years, it's 30-40% effective. So we have to start dealing with what the reality of the issue is. So we have a bug, and we have a host. So today we're going to talk about the host, how to become an awful, terrible host. I have a brother-in-law. If I go into his house, and all I want to do is leave. You don't talk, you don't offer things, and it's just a massive, uncomfortable thing for me. So he's like a horrible, horrible host. And then my wife, my brother-in-law's come over. She's making them filet mignon at night. They never leave. She's such a good host. So how do we become more like my brother-in-law when we become in contact with this super germ, virus or whatever? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And to realize what that is and how to do that, we have to mitigate our stress. Now, most people think stress, like mental stress, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, spouse, that kind of thing, job stress, deadlines. That's not necessarily the case. That's just one part of our stress. That's one dimension of the mental stress. There's two other ones. One being environmental or chemical, what we eat, what we put in our bodies, pollution, the blue light coming off our computer screen hours and hours on day, and how do we mitigate that risk? And how do we strengthen ourselves so we can handle that risk? And another one is physical stress, like getting hit in the head with a 2x4, sitting still for 8 hours in a hump position, trying to talk, trying to figure out what's going on. A future client just dropped off a CT scan I'm supposed to look at in the computer. I spent a half hour trying to figure out how to get this CD disc to show on my computer screen. And my staff, Haley, many of you know Haley, all of a sudden comes up there and says, "Well, you dummy, you're in the wrong computer slot." So that's my technical skill. So I'm happy to have Nicole around. So how do we mitigate the stress of something that should have took a half hour and it's taken an hour and a half because I can't figure it out? So that's the emotional, that's all the environmental stuff going on. But in reality, when we're talking about dimensions of stress, there's never just one thing. It's all three of them interwrapped. And so we don't go to the mall and lick a handrail. we just don't do that. It's stupid to do that. So, but we are going to come in contact with this germ. So let's look at the emotional part of this whole thing of being at home. Some of you are home all the time in front of a computer and never really get out and talk to people. And some are all right with that, some aren't. I'm finding that we're adapting to that, which is all right, but there's still a certain amount of stress with that. And how do we get through that part of the emotional, mental part of this? Well, the number one way, my suggestion is you just have to deep breathe, relax, look away from the computer screen once in a while, take a few deep breaths. And because we have our nervous system needs balance. If I'm sitting here for hours on hours, and believe me, we won't be here that long, just minutes. How do we relax when we have a task to do? So the easiest way I know how to send our body in a balance kind of a thing is a deep breath in and out, and take as long as to double the exhale. So like count to 5 inhaling and 10 exhaling, and do that about 10, 15 times, and then get back to your task. But I add another thing that's highly researched. That's most functional wellness practitioners do that. But I add another thing. If we can add appreciation to having a job, to having a task, if we just a family, love, whatever you're appreciative for, it really brings it all back and it balances us out. So as bad as it gets, we still got it pretty good. So be appreciative and take some deep breaths and look away from the computer screen for a while. And that's going to be huge. And I just recently give the Great American Sunrise, and the chamber really cares about everybody because, first of all, they got somebody on so intelligent, first of all, and then they're willing to like go the weird way of have other people talk about things. So when I was doing this talk, I talked about vitamin D, and I've had a lot of good response about vitamin D is a mitigator of our cytokine storm. So like when we come in contact with a new germ, a new virus, our body has to address it. And by having adequate amounts, even high amounts of vitamin D in our system, it mitigates that cytokine storm or the inflammation. Everybody knows somebody that's come in contact with this virus and did very poorly. And then they got better, and then they did worse again. That's the cytokine storm fluctuating. So vitamin D has been shown 60% of the time of leveling that out. So I highly recommend the vitamin D. Now I'm finding out that the quality of vitamin D matters. So I wanted to introduce a few products to you. I don't care where you get them. I'm just going to tell you about the ones I use and I recommend in our practice. It's called Bio D emulsion, and it's a liquid, meaning it's already broke down, meaning that you just take it and put it in the bottom of the tongue, because the vitamin D, if you don't have a gallbladder, you have digestion issues, or you're under high stress and that type of thing, sometimes our digestion doesn't work correctly. So you just take a couple drops underneath the tongue, and then even if you take the vitamin D in the evening, it helps you sleep at night. So I got it on my nightstand. But so I do that, and I recommend that, but also they're Biotics. I love this brand. There's probably about 5 or 6 chiropractic offices in town here that sell this brand. So, and they all have this. It's Bioimmunezyme Forte. So what that is, it's a selenium, it's a zinc. It's got all these products in the one product to help your immune system function the way it needs to. So you don't have to worry about if you're taking this much and you take this, or you read a Time magazine article, or you see something on Facebook that says take this, and you rush out and buy it. This will have it all in the right amounts, and your body will digest it. It's got the zinc in it. It's all been shown to food for your immune system, because your immune system really needs to work, and especially in this situation, because we are out. The facts are we're going to come in contact sometime. If we have already COVID, the other stuff that's coming down the pipe, all this fear stuff, this will really help with our immune system. I'm not promoting, I am promoting that brand, but I don't care where you buy it. I just think it's the best product. So yeah, Bioimmunezyme with zinc. Yeah. So the product is Bioimmunezyme Forte. I don't know if anybody can see that. It's pretty cheap, actually, $36 for 90 capsules. So I take 2 a day. I recommend 2 a day. And then if you have the active infection, you go up to 6 or 8. It'll knock it out. It'll really, and how it does it, it feeds your immune system to do what the immune system is supposed to do. So that takes care of the environmental. So eat clean. Actually, another thing, and Nicole knows this, she's heard me talk enough, sugar, like sugary drinks with dye in it. That really will tank our immune system. So like if you're sitting around home and you're doing a virtual meeting and all you want to do, and you're sipping on Pepsi or you're sipping on pop, I guess I'm not going to do Pepsi endorsement, but if you sipping on a sugary drinks over time, you're really diminishing your immune system's capability. So I'm going to ask you to somehow decrease the sugary drinks. And the third thing is movement. We have got to increase the movement. So all these boxes are showing up on me. So I appreciate everything. So keep asking them, and hopefully I can. And you can email my office, you can call, we will tell you all the information we talked about here. I just don't know. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Doc. So we're getting a lot of questions about the supplements that you have just shown. So you had the biodemulsion, which is the drops.
Yes, the little drops.
And who is this made by?
Biotics.
Biotics. Okay.
Biotics Research. I know two lines in my office: Standard Process and Biotics. Biotics is my brand now. So like I said, there's 5 or 6 other places that sell them in town. If you can always call, reach out to us, and we can find somewhere where you can get it closer.
And then you have the oral supplements as well in the other hand.
Yeah,
which is the
Immunezyme Forte.
Immunezyme.
Immunezyme, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not going to read all the ingredients, but it's like 55 million things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Forte.
Forte. F-O-R-T-E.
All right. I'm putting it in the chat box for everybody. And then also, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I know that all your boxes are popping up on you. So that's why I decided to pop in. I will also, at the end of this, send everybody a list of these things and where, a link to your website for you as well. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I went kind of through that kind of fast, so sorry about that. And then the third stressor is movement. And so like everybody thinks of movement as exercise, and it is. So that's moving joints. The neurological feedback on that is if you're moving an elbow joint, your brain has to address it. So the brain is addressing it and comprehending what's going on. So then it's also decreasing our emotional part of that. That's why sitting in front of a computer for hours or 15, 20 minutes, sometimes you start slouching down and you have to move. So I've been asking since I got invited to do this talk, my patients and clients that I've been seeing that I know are in a virtual situation. And the ones that are handling it the best, that have the best adjustments, the best treatment, they set their timer. And sometimes it isn't possible, sometimes it is. For every 45 minutes, they get up for 5 or 10 and walk around. And just look outside, move, stretch, whatever it is, they just move. So I want to take this movement to another level, because when we're talking about stressors, and because let's talk about stress. We are all business people. We all want to do well. We all get paid for what we do. The true of it all is we want to make more money. And to do that, we need more energy. And to do that, we need to have this energy going. So we have to have an immune system. We have to handle these 3 stressors. We don't want to be stress-free because it's counterproductive. Stress-free is we're retired sitting on a beach somewhere. Now that might sound well, but we don't get paid to do that. We have to work. So the more stressors we can handle, the more stress we can handle in our body, the more people we affect and the better life we have. So I want to reframe. I hear all the day long, I just need to get rid of the stress. In fact, what I believe we should do is be able to handle the stress, our normal stressors. So that is what Nicole was talking about with the quantum neurology. So the 3 stressors, the 3 things I've told you, but plus let's talk about chiropractic and movement. So if we adjust somebody, most people think chiropractic is just for back pain. Well, chiropractic kicks butt when it comes to back pain because it's moving a bone off of a nerve and the body can heal itself. But there's all these other nerves. One is the nervous system tells the immune system of what to do. The nervous system tells the joints how to move. The nervous system tells us how to think. That is a muscle nerve, structural nerve, and we have blood nerves that go to blood. We have bone nerves. We have emotional nerves. All these nerves can be compromised. And when they're not functioning at the best, that's called a subluxation in our office. So in my office, we go through each subset of the nervous system and upregulate it. The best way I know how to explain this is like if we're on a computer and we're functioning at a Pentium 1 and you see the ball of death, like my wife calls it, how frustrating is that? Well, that's how frustrating it is to our body to try to process new information. It's just tiring, fatiguing. So if we can take our processing of our body from a Pentium 1 to a Pentium 5, now look what happens. Now we're bam, 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 and we're high energy. The stressors aren't, so instead of hitting our stress level here, we're up here. And look how much more money we're making, how much more effective we are, how much we're affecting our lives, whether or not it's our relationship, our work, our spouses, just our hobbies. We have a life. And it's a big deal. So that's what we do in our office. That's what she was talking about. And it's done with laser lights and muscle testing, and it really kicks butt. So if we have static in our cell phone, the communications are bugging us. So in our body, we go through a set of systems and we test it out to see what set is not communicating properly with the rest of our body. And we end up with a subluxation. We can figure that out and we connect it. And then the body heals better, faster, depending on processing. So I was just talking to a buddy recently, and he melted it down like this. So you can brush your teeth every day. You can floss your teeth every day, but you still need to go to the dentist for the deep cleaning. So you can do the vitamin D, you can do the bioenzyme forte, and you should. You can also exercise, marathon run, but you still need to have your subluxations corrected so your body processes the information and the stressors at a higher level. And that's what we do. So before I open it up to questions, or maybe there's a million questions, but I want to tell you a story. This lady was coming into our office. She was coming from the Dayton area. She was coming up. She's about my age, so she's mid to late 50s. And at a college party in Dayton, she fell backwards, hit her head. From that point forward, she had debilitating headaches. She has 3 kids, grandkids, but she couldn't do anything. Like it was coming up on Thanksgiving, and she had to cater it in. She was hiring people in to come clean her house because she didn't have the energy. She had to sit down after 10 minutes or so. So she got referred by somebody, started care, and around Christmas time, she was driving in herself. First time she's ever driven in like 10 years. And I mean, that's a 2.5-hour drive from her place. And she brought her sons with her. And her one son had a reading disability. He worked at a Miramore type of a place. Very good kid, beautiful child. He had a very traumatic birth. He had a bad go-kart accident at 5 years old where his face was filleted over. And mom said his face was folded over. And he said he couldn't read. So I asked Mom, can I do a demo? And that's what I'm going to ask you. If you want to see what a demonstration is, just call our office. I will do a free demo for you. Haley up front will set it up. So because in 15 minutes, I can't tell you what I do, but I can show you in my office. So if that's a situation, let me know. We can handle that. But this kid started coming in, and I did a demonstration on him, like a 5-minute demo I used laser lights, I used muscle testing. He went from not being able to read to 5 minutes of reading. So he started care. And about, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, my wife is always comes with me on Thursday. So she was driving home. She thinks I'm an old man or whatever. But anyways, she was driving home and I was real quiet. And she said, well, what's the problem? Because I'm never quiet, as you know. I talk fast. Well, this kid was just in, and I don't know how to explain it. It was almost like, and I don't want to it was it was like one of those times when you know you was put on this earth for something. This kid started reading things, and he was reading and he was reading. Actually, I went to the internet, printed out 7th grade level reading, and he read this whole paragraph. One of the things his mom talked about was comprehension. So he read this paragraph about mowing lines on a lawn, and he did really well. And so as we're walking out, I said, so what was this, I can't remember the name, doing on the lawn? He goes, oh, it's mowing lawn. And he told me, not verbatim, but he told me the concepts that was happening in that paragraph. Now, mind you, a month earlier, he couldn't read it all. Now he's reading and comprehension at a 7th grade level just by connecting the nervous system and increasing the processing. So this kid now is a supervisor where he works. And I say kid because he's 32. So, yeah, he's 32 and never could read past the kindergarten 1 grade. And in a month he's reading. So like, that's why I was crying, telling my wife about it, because that's a big freaking deal. And we have deals like that all the time. So nobody can tell me the body can't heal. And that's what I'm talking about. In a virtual world, well, we're sitting still all the time. We need movement. We need connection. We need that processing ability so we can enjoy our lives. So if you want the free demo, just reach out to Haley, email me, and say you heard me yap on this Chamber University, and we'll go from there.
And I'll make sure that all the attendees here today have that information shortly after we close today. So you'll have it before the end of the day today, where you can reach out to Dr. Tony Rump. And then I would like to open it up for any questions. So if you do have questions, please go ahead and just type them into your chat, and we can go from there.
Nicole, you had said that you're going to have this tape and send it out.
Yes.
So if you're watching it on tape, same deal, just saying.
Yep, we are currently live on Facebook as well.
Oh,
and
geez.
We also have we are also recorded. So all of the attendees today will actually be able to see get a copy of the recording and a copy of all of your information so that they can contact you as well. And thank you very much, Dr. Rump. It's a very important subject with everybody. We do spend, even if we're not working at home, we still spend a lot of time motionless in front of a screen. And, with the COVID pandemic that's going on right now, when you said that we need to appreciate, I think that's extremely important, because even though we're face to face right now, we're still not able to meet entirely the way that we want to in the flesh. And I think that we need to have appreciation for the ability to be able to do this type of meeting face to face and keep everybody safe that may have some insecurities about being in the flesh. So thank you. I mean, it's very important, like you said, to the chamber. We do have a question that is coming in that is asking, are there any options that you have available for someone to quit smoking?
Yes, there's a reason you're, so like I'm real cocky, so I'm trying to get, and Nicole knows this, so I'm going to take a breath and we'll move. So quitting smoking, some people really do well with it. They just I just had a guy in the other day that just decided that he's done. And then people really struggle with it. And I remember when I used to work, I would bet people they couldn't quit smoking, but they had to keep their cigarettes where they always had them. So my suggestion is, if you're attempting that process, change your process. So if you always have your cigarettes on your console, put them in your purse. If you always have your cigarettes in your top pocket, put them somewhere else. So you can't just subconsciously grab and light it up. So do something a little different. And so you have that 35-second thought process. And then start moving, replace it with movement or something like that.
What types of movement do you feel are most beneficial? Just getting up and taking a walk? Because you were talking earlier about taking a deep breath. And I would like to go back to when we first went down into lockdown. You and I did a segment at that time about techniques that we could use in order to relieve some of these stress. Are you able to go through those techniques one more time for us?
Yeah, so like any movement is better than none. Okay, so like I'm wiggling my toes now, so I can, so that's a movement. But I'm a runner, so I like jogging. I wouldn't say running, I say jogging. So if I continue to jog, if I want to go farther, I have to go farther than what I'm normally 3 miles. So, but I know people that don't ever move anything. So if they just get up and walk for 5 minutes, it doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to ask you. It just, so it's about increasing. But I think the movement you're talking about is how to balance the nervous system. So like breathing deeply has a lot of benefits. One is when we're dealing with a computer screen, we're dealing with blue lights and all this other stuff coming out. So we get into a parasympathetic state, meaning wired or tired, meaning fight or flight state. So and to come off of that sometimes, like if you're watching TV all day and you try to sleep, it's hard to get that sleep. So how to balance the nervous system out after being in a highly emotional state for a while. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Ish. Okay. So the first thing we have to do is balance our cranial nerve 10 out, which is like licking the roof of the mouth, the humming. Simple. Do that 30 seconds. But if you don't know what a Kegel is, we can add a Kegel, meaning number one, stopping a number one, meaning urinating. That is, and then we can tap our chin. So we can lick, cap, and Kegel, and do that like 20, 30 seconds with the deep breath. And our body, it'll force our body into a sympathetic relaxation state. So that,
and it does work because I use it all the time, because anybody that knows me knows I don't like to fly. So anxiety is very high, and I do that on the plane. And if I'm by myself and they see me knock on my chin, they think I'm a little weird, but it works. So you should try it. And I've even taught it to my daughter, and she was amazed. So I'm curious to know how many people actually did this while sitting at their chair, even though we can't see them. We do have another question for you, Dr. Rump, and that is there any options for somebody with ADHD?
I'm sorry, with what?
ADHD, and I apologize.
Oh, absolutely. Like that's what this kid or this 32-year-old was diagnosed with, and he graduated, but ADHD is hyperactivity. So if we can, so dyes, red and yellow dye. If you have ADHD or your children do, if you can get rid of them dyes. My son he loved red pop, but he was a demon when he drank red pop because of the red dyes and the red cooler. So once we got rid of the red dyes, but also the chiropractic, if you have a chiropractor, I'm telling you, to create balance and tone in the nervous system, nothing's better than chiropractic. So look at a chiropractor, look at the chemical subluxation or the chemical stressors he's taking in, sugar and dyes, always. Can I tell a story quick? I don't know.
Absolutely.
So many years ago, I had a family coming in from Bowling Green area, and the kid had a learning disability. And his mom swore to me there was no sugar in his diet. So his mom had to go do something at the front desk. I was talking to the kid, he's 7 or 8. He had taken chocolate, hot cocoa mix, hid it in the bathroom. So in the morning, he had it behind the towels. In the morning, he would take a couple teaspoons. Seriously, that's how addictive sugar is. So it's funny, the kid told me and the mom, but anyways, I had to be the one to tell the mom, but once she figured that out, his life changed. But that's how addicting it is. And so sugar, red and yellow dyes, and chiropractic adjustments, without a doubt.
How much, when you intake sugar, how much does it actually compromise your immune system?
Well, the studies are saying like a teaspoon of sugar, it will drop your like bacterial by 50%. So like you have more of it will decrease your immune system by 50% with a teaspoon of sugar. So like for an hour or so afterwards. So if you drink a pop, which has pop soda, wherever you're at on this Facebook, it's going into the tank. So
which would explain why you have the afternoon crash sometimes.
Always. It explains always. And that's one of the complicating issues with this current virus is how you handle sugar. So
Dr. Rump, if they have any further questions, I'm going to go ahead and give them your email if that's okay.
Absolutely.
And then also you can visit docrump.com to learn more on his website. He does also have like the free nervous system hacks on there as well, which is pretty cool. So, and then also I want to remind everybody that, you know, Dr. Rump is really cool. If you just have questions, he's willing to just answer them. You don't necessarily have to come into his office to see him and get charged for a visit of some things of that
Reach
nature.
out. It's what I do.
We appreciate that and your expertise in being a resource for health and wellness in our community. Like I said, we'll follow up with a recording of this for all of the attendees. It is on the Lima Chamber Facebook page live, and I will make sure that everybody has a way to reach out to Doc Rump, but just in case you didn't catch that, it's docrump.com. And I appreciate you being here today. So thank you, Dr.
Yeah, just be
Rump.
careful if you Google Rump.
Yeah, you can definitely.
I'm pretty far down on that search box.
Yeah, you can get into some trouble there. But thank you so much for speaking with the Chamber for Chamber University today. We will have these every month on last Thursday with relative topics of different nature, and they're free and open to the public. So join us and have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Nicole. You rock.
You do too. See you later.